Everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here. Obviously, still traveling, but that's not what we're talking about. In cheap hardware news, TP-Link. This may be a brand you've heard of. They're pretty ubiquitous. You can go to your local retail store and buy them, et cetera, et cetera. Their products may be spying for China. Gotta love backdoors. Now, here's what's going on. This is coming from Tom's, and I think this is an important one that the U.S. government is addressing for the U.S. government, but we should be looking at this as consumers as well. And so here's what's going on. The chairman of the Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party, John Molinar, and the ranking member, Raja Krishnamurthy, have formally requested that the Commerce Department and other agencies investigate Chinese-made networking devices, particularly those made by TP-Link, regarding the potential cybersecurity risk they pose due to their just insane degree of vulnerabilities and other reasons that they had mentioned in the letter. Now, this letter mentions that TP-Link manufactures multiple Wi-Fi products, including routers, and therefore it is concerning given the documented vulnerabilities found in its Wi-Fi routers. On top of this, TP-Link has the largest supply of Wi-Fi router products worldwide, and 95% of Americans, aka you and me, use small office, home office, known as SOHO routers as of last year in 2023. Not me, but most everybody does. That said, most people don't have the requisite knowledge to basically set up their own UTM enterprise firewall, but I do because, well, nerd. Now, it's also, for the record, TP-Link being used in its military bases and by the military members and their families. So the letter mentions that companies like Army and Air Force Exchange Service and My Navy Exchange, these are essentially basically like on-base stores, they sell products to authorized customers who are active duty military personnel, retirees, reservists, veterans, DoD civilians, and family members therein. And so obviously if they're buying these cheap routers and then sticking them on their home network on the military base, wherever they're housed, that's an issue as well. Now, the other reason, as mentioned in the letter, is the company's compliance requirement with the Chinese government per their law. I've talked about this and written about this absolutely extensively. TP-Link, like every other Chinese corporation, are required to provide data to the PRC, the People's Republic of China, and essentially and otherwise comply with demands of its national security apparatus. In other words, when the Chinese government says, you've got information that we want specifically on foreigners, or in TP-Link's cases, maybe IP addresses of foreigners, TP-Link is required by law essentially to give those over. If they find some kind of flaw, the Chinese government can get a hold of that, and TP-Link can basically be ordered not to fix the flaw. So now China has some kind of backdoor access into TP-Link. And given the amount of flaws and vulnerabilities that have been discovered on these horrible products, that's what it is. For the record, I've never recommended TP-Link, and this is one of those core reasons. Now, the letter on top of this emphasizes the threats from Volt Typhoon. If you recall, I talked about them as a Chinese intelligence-based threat actor a while ago, as they were talked openly by Director Christopher Wray at basically the congressional subcommittees hearings on this, and other PRC APTs, or Advanced Persistent Threat Groups, that could potentially be leveraging TP-Link to get into wherever. So the Commerce Department, for the record, does have the power to restrict or ban certain products that pose a potential threat, and has done so in the past, like Huawei, ZTE, and some others. And so TP-Link probably should, well, not probably, it should go on that list, and that's what they're requesting. Now, security vulnerabilities are not exclusive, obviously, to TP-Link. Other basic products, have these issues as well. So take your bargain, bottom line, standard stuff you're going to buy at like a Best Buy or whatever. Think Netgear, for example. Netgear has vulnerabilities. They've been caught with their pants down multiple times, and to the point where they were ordered to actually have a vulnerability management system that they weren't in. So TP-Link is not alone, but an American-based company where we have recourse under the law is not a Chinese company where we potentially don't have recourse and that company is not willingly giving any information collected on us to a foreign government like a TP Link would. So, multiple companies, as I've mentioned, are in this, but the use of SOHO routers is particularly concerning given that military personnel would have sensitive information passed to them via these routers, essentially as they're using it as a medium. So, for example, let's say you're working from home that particular day in the military, or you're on leave or whatever it is, and you're passing traffic back and forth to, let's say, other personnel within the military apparatus, that's going through the TP link, going through the wireless. And so by virtue of that, if I'm able to get, as an attacker, gain a foothold into that, maybe I can gain access into that home computer, or even the computer that the military assigns me to use, whatever that is. This is what we're talking about. And so the members, and again, what we're talking about is a joint task force here between Republicans and Democrats, jointly requested that the investigation be completed by the end of August 2024. And once that investigation is complete, we're hopefully going to receive information from the Department of Commerce regarding its actions against this. And so if the Department of Commerce is listening to this or watching this in some way, shape, or form, I 100% vote to essentially put TP-Link on the same list as ZTE, Huawei, et cetera, and start pulling these things off the shelf. If it's not secure for the military, not secure for civilians. And I think that's the name of the game here. So I'll leave it at that. That is your news of the day. But once again, we're seeing yet another Chinese software, hardware, whatever the product is, essentially be a potential agent on behalf of the Chinese government, and possibly intentionally leave vulnerabilities open for them to exploit to essentially gain backdoors. That was the same issue that we had with Huawei 5G infrastructure, ZTE phones, et cetera. So I'll leave it at that. That is your news of the day. But if you have a TP-Link anything in your life, now's the time to unplug it. Now's the time to replace it and step up your game a little bit. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please attempt to stay private. Thanks, everybody.